I saw a beam of light everywhere. And then the moment I saw those beam of light, I thought to myself, the rapture is here.
It's like in the corner of her eye, seeing like a little boy or like a little ghost going to one of the rooms.
It's a journey in the self too, because you find your intuition and discernment. But we got to realize that there's duality here.
Maybe 6 or 8 times over the course of a couple of years, I would wake up to this dark figure standing at the foot of my bed.
The green agenda is the obliteration of the human soul. They use children to do that. They can't do it without children. They need pure souls, and you cannot conduct a black mass without pure souls.
When you see that there's darkness, Satan exists, or that there's evil on earth, or that there's actually demons or whatever, I think it's a frequency we're all together, really.
The light started like flicking off and on. So it was like a toddler, like a 5-year-old or 4-year-old.
At one point it started to gruff. I heard howls. I heard like this puffing sound, and I was petrified. I had no idea what it was.
Well, the demons are here, and they are going to steal the children.
Welcome to the show, everybody. Listen to Apocalyptic Anomalies, where we shine light on the shadows to unlock all the secrets of our universe. I'm your host, Abner Valdés. If you have a crazy experience or story you want to share on the show, email me at apocalypticanomalies@gmail.com. That's apocalypticanomalies@gmail.com. Or you can hit me up on Instagram or Facebook. Either way works for me. Just get in contact with me. Today on the show, we have Christian coming back on to share some intense experiences. He was on episode 8 and 9, Ouija board portals and paranormal activity. So let's get into the show right now. Sit back and enjoy the show. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to Apocalyptic Anomalies. Today on the show, we have a reoccurring guest, Christian Dickerson. For those of you that don't know Christian, he was on episodes 8 and 9, Ouija board portals and paranormal activity. Christian, how you doing today?
I'm good.
Good.
How are you?
Man, good. I'm good, man. Good to have you back on the show. Thank you for being back on the show, man. Awesome to see you, man.
No problem. You too.
All right. So for those of you that haven't seen the other episodes, Christian, can you just give the audience a brief bio about yourself and go into whatever brings you to the show today? Anything you would like to share?
I've been involved or been interested in paranormal ever since I was a little kid. That's everything from cryptids to ghosts / hauntings to UFOs, aliens, just pretty much anything that falls under the term of paranormal. I've researched and experienced quite a bit since I was a kid, and I've always had a like of like monsters and things like that, and I think that's what kind of helped push me in that direction, because of things like Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster is what initially probably what I think got me into it, or it piqued my interest in it. And then I just kind of went from there. Like I said, I've had experiences that have happened since I was younger. I had something that had attached to me and was would follow me wherever I went. That lasted until about 2005. I was 36 years old. So from first grade on, I've always had something that was kind of following me and would let itself be known, but it was always very subtle. But then as I got closer to the 2005, it was being more blatant, more active, to the point that even at the time when I was married, my stepkids and my wife even were experiencing things when I wasn't even there. Doors opening and closing, stereos turning on, boombox turning on, but it wasn't the power button that was turned on. It would be the play button was hit on the tape player, and it wasn't just a rewound tape that they hit play and left the room and then it started to play. After the leader tape went through, it was the middle of the tape, so there was no way that could have happened. We were in the kitchen eating dinner, and there for maybe 5-10 minutes, and all of a sudden this loud blaring music comes from their room, and I go in there to turn it off, and it's just the tape player was turned on. Never did figure that out. Had glass that broke in their room. Never found any pieces of glass, but they had old bottles. Each had one that their uncle had made for them. They had all different layers of colored sand, and the top was capped off with wax. And the neck of the bottle was broken off at the neck, but there was no sand, even though sand was up into the neck. There was no sand, no broken glass. We rearranged the room several times. After that, always being mindful to look out for glass. Never found any glass. Never understood or figured out what went on with that. Would see reflection. Well, not really. In the reflection of like the computer screen, you'd sit down, go to turn on the computer, and you'd see everything behind you reflected on it, and you'd hear the door open and close, and then you'd see something run past, and it was nobody. Like I get up and yell at the kids for like quit running in and out, and nobody answers me, and I don't hear any moving around, so I walk around the house looking for somebody, and there's nobody there. 10 minutes later, the kids come back in, and I'm yelling at them for coming in and out, and they're like, "What are you talking about? We've been down the street for the last 2 hours." Things like that. When I was younger, I got a hold of a book. It was an old book, probably from like the 50s. It was an encyclopedia of witchcraft and demonology, and that told how to make your own Ouija board. Which, I mean, it's not that hard to do. It's very obvious how you can do it. Me and a couple kids in the neighborhood did that, and ever since then is when I was able to notice more things going on around me and having just having the sense that there was some kind of presence around. Doors would slam. You hear laughter or voices where nobody was there. Just weird things like that. And it just seems like from that point on, that's when I was able to tell that I had something that was attached to me. So ever since then, I have never been a fan of Ouija boards. If I can help it, I don't go to an event or a gathering. Like if some friends and I are gonna do an investigation somewhere, I try not to be around or make it known that I don't want to be around a Ouija board. I don't want to be around any activity with it. Just because of that reason. I know in one of the other episodes, somebody was saying that I was telling people how to do it and all that, and that's farther from the truth. I discourage anybody from using them. They're not safe. Even if you think you know what you're doing, it's not really a safe tool to be using. Because you really don't know what's coming through. Because you don't see anything, but whatever it is you're contacting or supposedly speaking with or whatever, you don't have 100% positivity of what or who you were talking to. Things imitate all the time. And I got some friends that are like, we have a paranormal group that we haven't done in a while, but we would always go through and do some kind of investigation of the building that we did community theater in. The two people that ran it basically had control of the building, and so we could kind of do that whenever they wanted. And we did it quite often just to have something to do and not sit at home on a Friday, Saturday night. I've seen apparitions in there. I've been touched there. My ex-girlfriend, she was skeptical of all the stuff I had told her about that we'd experienced there until she started experiencing it. I mean, it's just I sometimes feel silly when I talk about this stuff because I know that there's people that are like, yeah, right, whatever,
Sure, yeah.
But the thing is when you experience it, there's no question in your mind that just happened. It would be as if you walk outside, look up, and you notice it's a clear blue day, sun is shining, not a cloud in the sky, as opposed to somebody coming out and trying to tell you and convince you that it's raining and storming out. You just know in your mind that it's not. It actually happened. It's not fake. You didn't imagine it. All I try to do is I just try to be as I try to be as precise as I can on what has happened and what I experienced, as opposed to trying to convince anybody, because that won't happen. The only time that a non-believer will start to believe or kind of understand where I'm coming from is if they actually have an experience themselves. That's just the way it is. I mean, especially nowadays with what you can do with computer, Photoshop, After Effects, CGI, you name it. Video and photo evidence, especially at this day and age, is never going to be 100% proof positive of what was seen. And I know people that actually see stuff and they end up having, recording it or catching something on the camera, and that they see it as absolute proof because it's exactly as what they saw in that. But you just can't go by that. So certain things just need to be experienced by people themselves for them to experience it. I just try to be as thorough as I can, and I mean, there's no reason to even have to attempt to exaggerate any of this stuff, because it's just, like an apparition. You see somebody get up from a kneeling position, like they were tying their shoe. They're walking away from you, and as they walk away, they just vanish. I mean, like, just not like just get turned off, and I mean, just like gradually vanish from existence. And there's nothing that you can say to get anybody that wouldn't believe that to understand that, unless they end up experiencing something similar themselves.
Sure, yeah, for sure.
When I was younger, and this was something, I don't know why I didn't remember it, but one of the earliest things I can remember was I was like first or second grade, and I was actually sleeping in my mom and dad's bed, because I always had night terrors. I'd wake up and like sleepwalk while still having the night terrors. Um, so I was always afraid to go to sleep, but I was sleeping in their bed, and my hand was kind of like not over the edge, but by the edge of the bed. And something with two fingers and a thumb, smaller than my hand, grabbed my hand and pulled me almost all the way off the bed. I didn't see it, but to this day, I can still remember what it felt like with grabbing my hand. I've never experienced anything like that since. And the fact that it was two fingers and a thumb always just creeped me out more than anything else, more than just being pulled, being pulled out of, trying to be pulled out of the bed. That was just, and that's a story that I never forget. That's always like one of my most first memories of anything paranormal that I've experienced and had no explanation for. I mean, it was just so random and bizarre. But that happened, and then I guess it would be like the next year. I was sleeping in my bed, and my bed caught fire. The lamp had fallen off the shelf, and when it fell, the lampshade came off. So the bulb was just laying against the mattress. And while I was sleeping, smoke collected in the room, and I started getting a sore throat. So I got up to get a drink of water, and that came back in, and my bed was just in flames. And that was something that took my dad almost all night to have it in the throw it in the bathtub and soak it with the shower and just soak it all the way through in that. And almost every time he turned the water off, it would start to light up again. When it was finally said and done, he drug it out and threw it into the trash dumpster out there. And like the next night, fire truck was out there putting the fire out in the dumpster that the bed caught back on fire again. So that was weird.
Christian, going back to when you said that hand touched you with the three fingers, what, in your opinion, do you think that was?
I don't know. I mean, it could. Even when I was younger and that happened, I had no clue because it didn't even cross my mind that like nowadays you would say like, oh, it's probably an alien. You're probably somebody that's trying to abduct you. But one, I didn't see anything there. The room was dark. There was no lights on. There was no noise. I mean, just a regular nighttime noise. Everybody's asleep. But I just remember the hand was smaller than mine, and it was able to pull me almost completely off the bed. I mean, could it have been a UFO? Not a UFO. Could it have been an alien? Don't know. Never had any experiences like that since. Could have been, I've had friends suggest maybe demons, who knows? I honestly, I have absolutely no idea. And I couldn't even begin to fathom a guess because I don't know. There's nothing else to go on other than it had two fingers and a thumb, and it was smaller than my hand.
Yeah, and I'm asking because we have 5 fingers, So when you
Exactly.
talk about 3 fingers, 2 fingers and a thumb, that's creepy, man.
Yeah, it'd be
yeah,
I can't do it right now. The arthritis in my hand is real bad, but it'd be like, almost like a Vulcan type thing. But I mean, it's 2 fingers and a thumb. Wow. And it just, it scared the hell out of me. I mean, I was only a kid. I had no clue what was going on,
Sure, yeah.
I've had people suggest, well, did you have a dog at the time? Well, Yes and no. We did have a dog around that time, but I can't remember if she passed away before or after that happened. Um, and so they were kind of saying, well, maybe it was the dog that was like pulling you by. But there was nothing resembling any kind of sharpness or anything like that. It was just two fingers, a thumb, gripping my hand and like pulling me off towards the side of the bed. I wasn't in between my parents or anything like that. But I wasn't like on the very edge of the bed either. And for it to have a smaller hand than mine at that time, it would have had to have been pretty strong to pull me from one side of the bed, from where I was to the edge of the bed.
Yeah.
But I immediately woke up looking around in that and just didn't see anything. No lights, no sounds, nothing out of the ordinary. So I couldn't even fathom a guess as to what it was. I wish I had more input on what I could, figure, but there's been descriptions of aliens that people have been abducted by that have two fingers and a thumb, and then you have descriptions of demons that have two fingers and a thumb. It could have been anything, I just don't know what. I don't. That's just something that has always perplexed me because, other than that, that's all the information I have on that occurrence, and that's all the information I have to go on. Whereas anything else, I either have seen or heard, and or felt something. It's just it's hard to explain in ways that are in a descriptive way that conveys what it was. I mean, you say you hear a disembodied voice from somebody that's not standing in front of you, but the voice is coming from in front of you. Or, you get kind of nudged from the back and they turn around, there's nobody there. Just all kinds of things. I mean, it's just, if when you don't have enough information, sensory input to really make any more of a educated guess, it just makes it more difficult to explain to people. But that was by far one of the most unusual things I've ever experienced in my entire life. And
yeah, like you said, it's hard to narrow it down, but it gives the audience something to kind of think about, in your opinion, what it felt like, and you were scared.
Because like just the grip alone on my hand was they grabbed my hand fairly. It was a tight grip. It wasn't like it just lightly grabbed hold and just kind of went to like trying to yank a tablecloth out from underneath the dishes or something. It was just a good strong grip that I want to say that I pulled back and I couldn't break free, but it just happened so fast. I'm not even sure of that myself. Plus that was, I'm 55 now. That was almost 50 years ago. So,
yeah.
But like I said, the thing that's always stuck in my mind has been the two fingers and a thumb, and that it was smaller than my hand, but yet was still strong enough to grab me and pull me almost off the edge of the bed.
Yeah.
So I mean that was just one of the most weird things. I've had I've had things happen. For a while when I was going through my divorce, I was living with my brother and his wife, and until the house I was going to rent was going to be ready for me, and they started having things happen at their house. Full trash bag sitting by the door to be taken out to the trash, sliding across the kitchen floor about 6 inches, drawers opening and closing on their own. things like that. But this stuff all happened when I wasn't even there. My brother would call me up. I'd be going to meet friends over in Collinsville, and he's in St. Louis.
That's freaky,
and
man.
Yeah, and I just get on. I'm just hitting the highway to come over to Illinois, and he, he called me up, and he was like, "Hey, are you coming back anytime like soon or anything? Or are you gonna be gone for a little while?" So well, I'll probably be gone for a few hours. And I asked him why, and he told me. He goes, "So I'm gonna go over to Dad's." He said, "Let me know when you're on your way home, and I'll meet you at the house." I said, "Okay, But he would get creeped out. Most people would. That's just not normal everyday stuff to have happen. I've always told people that if they've never experienced anything like this before in their life, like a haunting or anything like that, the closest thing I've ever seen depict it to being, very, very close to how it is the movie The Conjuring. They did a really good job recreating how stuff like that works. Or not works, but like how it happens. It almost always will start off small. Like when I was married and living in Fairview Heights, Illinois, just a few miles from here, you'd set something down, turn around, and go to reach, turn it back around to grab it. It's gone. Pen, fork, whatever. And then like a couple of days later, you walk by it and it's right where you would have left it. Always come back. It'd always be right there. But then we started having things like with doors opening and closing on their own. You'd hear breaking of glass in the house and never find any broken glass. Things like that would happen, and it would just escalate. I had called a local radio show on one of my days off and was asking, what's the best way to figure out if your house is haunted? What's the best way to try to figure that out? I knew certain things you could do, like with putting sprinkling baby powder or cornstarch on the floor and see if you get footprints, or letting a tape player record with it inside an empty house, things like that. While I'm talking to them, I had to go into the kitchen. As I'm going down the hallway, the light fixture ends up falling and almost hit me. Had I been a second slower, it would have hit me on the head. This is a fixture that had been up for 3 years and never seemed like it was loose or anything. And then all of a sudden it just falls. That was weird. Like I said, another time, the last time I was on, that my wife and I heard a sigh come from underneath the bed. She was blaming me, telling me to stop it. And I'm like, I didn't do it. I'm looking right at you, because we were laying in bed talking and getting ready to go to bed for the night. And just all of a sudden you hear this, and there was nothing under the bed. Because she kept all the Christmas wrapping and everything underneath the bed. So there was nothing, not even the kids could fit underneath the bed to try to sneak in there and scare us. The boys would wake up in the middle of the night screaming bloody murder, calling for me, running down the hallway to our bedroom, saying they saw somebody standing in the doorway of their room. That somebody was standing in the doorway of the room, and then a car drove by with the car lights come through the window of the front door, and down the hall there was nobody there. And so they would come running down and get scared with that, and just all kinds of weird things. I had hand like stroking in my back. I thought it was my ex-wife, couldn't figure out why she was still at home because she was, she worked that day. And I had just got the kids off to school and had just started to drift back off to sleep. And I was woken up by that. And I rolled over and nobody's there, but I mean, I felt it. Well, I mean, and that's not even, I mean, there's more stuff that I've experienced, but I've already kind of touched on it before. Like I was talking before in one of the episodes about like the portals and stuff. People run around and they do research and everything on portals, opening and closing them, and they get comfortable enough to where they feel like they know what they're doing. But I mean, does anybody really know what they're doing when it comes to the paranormal stuff? I mean, there's no rules for anything. And everybody says, "Oh, well, it says in the Bible this and that." Okay, fine, that's fine, but it still doesn't give you the rules of how to open and close these portals or how to do an exorcism and you get people all the time that think that they know what they're doing and they're very, very, very knowledgeable on the subject. They just don't actually have a clue. I mean, they just really don't have a complete, they think that they know what they're doing. And in my experience and in my mind, that's the first mistake that you make. You feel comfortable enough with the knowledge that you've gained from reading and research and everything else that you feel like you know what you're able to do, and that you're like, if you're dealing with like possession or anything of that nature, anything that's evil, when you feel that you can conquer evil just from what you've read and researched, that's your first mistake. The first thing that's going to save you from anything is going to be your faith. And I know a lot of people don't like hearing that. I know a lot of people don't like talking about it. But in all of history, that's been the only thing that has 100% been a useful tool. Whether it's been closing portals, pushing things back, keeping them at bay, commanding them in the name of God and by the power of God and Jesus to leave and don't come back or whatever, leave these people alone. That's the only thing that has ever helped in those situations. But you can't go in half-heartedly because, it's just not going to work. And a lot of people, that's where they make their mistake. They think that their faith is strong enough, but it's just not. And something like that, if it's strong enough or not. I'm like anybody else. It fluctuates. Sometimes I'll feel, like I've got a good handle on my faith and that it's strong and that. But then again, I'm also not somebody that goes to church every week. I'm not someone that reads the Bible all the time. But when I was a kid, that was my favorite book to have my mom read to me. And I mean, she read the Bible to me about 5-6 times in my early childhood. Sometimes you either just ask for help from a higher power and believe in that higher power, or you just keep running from it. Not the higher power, but you keep running from the problem. And sometimes that's going to be just as harmful because that could wear on you. Stress wise and everything else. It's just I don't know. I mean, it's and everybody's different. I mean, I know people that are very religious in the sense that they go to all the church functions, they help out with the church all the time and everything, but at the same time, they're fake Christians. I personally know people that are like that. I hate to say it, but I'm not going to name anybody, but if you know that if you think I'm talking about you, I probably am. I'm not going to apologize for it, but it just is what it is. I it just after see my best friend passed away 2016, and then shortly after that I had woke up in the middle of the night and there was like a blue, not a real bright light, just a white blue light that was like a ball of tangled up string, and it's like somebody was pulling the string, detangling it like it's going down into a drain. And I sat there and just watched it just completely just detangle until it just went away. And that's something else I've never been able to properly explain away either. I've told a few people about it, but they really don't have a sense of what I was talking about. Because like I have a hard time sleeping anyway. And like I said, I just woke up in the middle of the night and rolled over, and it was, kind of like almost right above me, almost on my bed, kind of like little off to the right of me. Some people think that I think it was him. I don't know if that's necessarily the case or not. It could have been. Nothing was said, nothing was heard, so I don't know. But it was just another one of those experiences that I've had that, I can't explain. Like I said, we used to do investigations at people's houses, and they'd find somebody that had a house or a business that they wanted to have looked into, and we'd go over and check it out. Sometimes we saw stuff, experienced stuff. Sometimes we didn't. For the longest time, we stopped doing that and started doing investigations at the old theater where we did community theater at. It was built in 1917 at shortly after the town was established. It was a mining town, and all the miners would contribute out of their check to it, and it served as a union hall and a theater. They had dances there. There was a ballroom on the third floor. They had offices on the second floor. There was a storage area underneath the balcony, or like the balcony would come out, and then like in the room would like go underneath where all the seats were. And that's where they would keep all the marquee and other decorations for the building, and they still do it that way today. It just had a lot of history in it, and it had one entity that was one of the miners, and I always get the name wrong because I'm always afraid to get it wrong. It was two brothers that were miners, and one brother always got the credit for what the other brother did. One was Albert and one was Alfred. And I think Alfred is the one that's there, but non-malevolent. At the most, that's you hear him sit down in the auditorium when we were rehearsing for shows, and we were all up on the stage. We'd hear the seat go down or the seat pop back up, and we'd all look out and see nothing. Other times you'd hear bare feet running down the aisle towards the stage. Nobody's there. I've seen shadow forms there. There's another entity that's there that she was an actress that she was in an affair with either one of the other actors or just somebody else in town. And she ended up getting pushed down the stairs of the third floor dressing room. And it was just supposed to make her have a miscarriage, but she ended up breaking her neck and dying from it. So she's there. I haven't noticed her. I've smelt the lavender that is associated with her. That's the other thing too. You'd smell lavender, and usually that's when she was around. You sometimes would smell cigar smoke when nobody was even smoking. Trying to think what else. 'Cause I know. The last time I talked about how I glowed in the dark, which that in and of itself, it just sounds like the most ludicrous, absolutely insane thing. I've asked uh, people that are in this line of work for a living, and from all the shows, all the book authors and that I could get a hold of, and nobody's ever heard of it happening. Um, Now, like there are times that you can see somebody's aura if it's bright enough, but it's got to be like very specific, very good conditions, and that just doesn't happen. But in this marquee room, you get in there and turn off the lights, and it's pitch black. You can't see your hand 2 inches away from your nose. Um, but this night, over 10 people ended up witnessing this. I was the last one to witness it, and it was just basically as if I had sunlight hitting my skin. There was no light coming from anywhere. It was just the effect as if I had light hitting my skin, sunlight hitting my skin. Uh, Anything that wasn't covered up, like my arms from the short sleeve shirt, my face and neck. I think I was wearing jeans that day. I don't think I was wearing shorts. Otherwise, I would have noticed it. But it wasn't something where somebody like came up to greet me and put glow in the dark paint on me or anything like that, because it just wasn't. You would have been able to tell. There would have been all kinds of streaks and everything, and it would have been uneven in places. And this was just absolutely as if I had walked outside into the sun and my skin was just being bathed in sunlight. Like I said, I've never heard of that happening. I've been trying to figure it out and try to see if try to find somebody that knows anything about something like that ever since. That was like 2002. Ever since then, it's like I won't get alone in the marquee room. Whenever we're there, I won't go in there. I've heard things moving around in there, like boxes and stuff getting shifted around. What else have we seen? My ex-girlfriend and myself and her little boy, all three of us saw from different points. The little boy was with me, and his mom was like right around by the stairs coming up, and you just hear somebody running up the stairs. And so she kind of like moved off to the side to make room, because it didn't sound. She said it doesn't sound like they were going to stop for anything, and she didn't want to get knocked over. So she moved off to the side, and they came into the third floor ballroom, and we saw this silhouette just run right past us and go to the end of the room and make a right into where this. It's a bathroom, but it's unusable. It's defunct, and there's just all kinds of stuff in there to where somebody couldn't just run in there. They had to climb over stuff and everything, and so we went to go find out who it was that was running around like that, and there was nobody there. My ex-girlfriend was like, we used to play a game, like the bunch of us used to play Halloween hide and seek. One person that was it would wear the Michael Myers mask, and another person that they were the second person to draw their name. The second name that get drawn out of the hat would be Loomis, and he had a Nerf gun that had 6 shots, and each shot would stop Michael for 30 seconds, um, and if anybody got killed before the end of the game, they just became zombies. So that way, everybody could still be able to play the game and until the end of the game. And she was hiding in the ladies' room, crouched onto the toilet, like with her feet up and everything. So you couldn't, like, if I looked underneath the door and that, I wouldn't be able to see. She thought I was in there, hiding in the next stall next to her. And when I asked her why, she says because she heard me breathing. I was like, no. I said, nobody was in there with you. I said, nobody was in there with you. I said, I saw when everybody came out, when the game was over, when time was called, nobody came out of there but you. And she just kind of looked at me and she's like, well, somebody was breathing in the next stall next to me. I said, well, it wasn't me. I said, it wasn't anybody out here either. So, but, eventually she would even like start to tell her family like the weird stuff that she'd experienced there. She's like, I never thought it was, I always thought he was like just, blowing smoke too. But she's like, I don't know. There's something that goes on there that's just it's not normal. Again, it's just, unless people experience it for themselves, they can't believe it. I mean, they can't grasp the concept. It's an interesting topic. Most people find it an interesting topic, but then you'll always have some of those people that just absolutely will not concede that there's anything that's unexplainable that we don't know about this planet or about this life. And that's just the furthest thing from the truth. Again, I mean, I have people like, well, do you call them ghosts? Do you think they're ghosts or spirits or what? I don't know what they are. All I know is I've seen shadows, silhouettes of people moving, and you go in there to see who it is, and nobody's there. Like I said, I've seen apparitions in there where they like literally they look like a full solid human being, and then the next second they just start fading away, and then not like fading away like smoke wisping and everything. It's like it's just like a light just gradually being turned off real slow, dimmed down to where it's off. It's just some weird stuff. Matter of fact, I had something about a month ago. Those apps that you can find on online for like ghost hunting, like the kind that like work as where ghost cycles through the frequencies and picks the words out. I thought, well, I'll just see what it's like. I just to see what it's like. Not thinking it would be anything that it would pick anything up or anything. And I just had it on, hadn't said anything at all. And excuse me, it had came up with the word help, married, hurt. And that was like within 15 minutes. And I'm sitting there thinking, I didn't even ask anything. So is it that good? Or is it just throwing out words just at random, I don't know. But I know a lot of these people on some of these YouTube channels and that, they use them in their investigations and they seem to think that they work. But I don't know. I mean, I just don't know. I think it's something that people need to be. If you're going to go out and investigate this stuff and actually go to locations and do investigations where you're trying to capture stuff on film or on video and audio, and just you really need to you really need to protect yourself. Either, wear a cross that's been blessed, St. Christopher that's been blessed, um, and any kind of religious symbol that is a symbol of protection for yourself. Um, Holy water, I don't care what it is, crystals, whatever. Just have something with you that's going to help keep anything from attacking you or attaching onto you and following you home. Because there's too many times, like on these um, paranormal shows, that people end up having something follow them home from an investigation that they went on, and they either picked up a rock from the garden, or they just didn't have anything that to use to protect themselves, and it latched onto them. Those are the those would be some. I mean, as far as like if you're going to do something like this yourself, then you definitely want to make sure you've got some kind of protection other than just, well, I'm just going to go in and do this and nothing's going to happen to me. Because that's not always how it ends up working out. So, um, just really when it comes to Ouija boards, I know a lot of people think that they're BS. They just think that they're a game that Milton Bradley puts out. But it's playing with fire. Even if it's just something that you're making yourself, you're playing with fire. I mean, because like there's certain rules that you're supposed to follow with it, as far as like starting and then stopping it. And if you don't follow the directions on how you're supposed to stop it, that leaves yourself open to being latched onto. Like I said, I think that's what happened with me. We just, we just didn't think, we just didn't take it seriously, and I just ended up having it where something latched onto me and followed me for several years. And I really didn't, at that time, I didn't know how I was going to be able to get rid of it. But for some reason, it just stopped. For all I know, it could still be around me. I don't know. I just don't have any of the experiences anymore that I used to when I'm at home. Just if people are going to play around with this stuff and especially when you're dealing with magic, white magic, black magic, incantations of any kind, you just really need to be very careful. I'd even suggest not doing them or messing with them because, again, I mean, this is all stuff that it's ancient knowledge, ancient wisdom, and it's possibly stuff that we're not even supposed to know about anyway. I wouldn't mess with it. When I go on investigations of that, I'm just there to run a video camera and see if I catch anything. That's all I go for. I don't go for anything else. I don't go to do any spells. I don't go to do any kind of witchcraft or anything. I don't go in to do any opening of portals, Ouija boards, none of that stuff. I'm just there to witness and catalog as much as I can, if I can. A lot of times it doesn't happen. A lot of times you'll have a noise that's going on that is so loud you can't hear each other talk in the room to each other. But when you watch it on video, you can barely hear the noise, but everybody's yelling at each other, trying to be heard. I've had that happen before. That was a weird one. Just be smart. Just be smart about the stuff. research the place you're going to investigate, know what you're getting yourself into. You don't want to go into somewhere that they're having all these things happen because of witchcraft or Satanism was performed there. I know a lot of people poo-poo that stuff, but I mean, it's all just as real as anything else. I don't know exactly what to call all this stuff. Paranormal, demons, magic, whatever. I don't know what to call it all, but there's definitely something in the world that we do not have a full grasp on, that too many people experience and are experiencing, to just say that the stuff it's not real, that it doesn't happen. And if anybody wants to see, if you want to see how as realistic as possible that you could find, to try to experience it, watch The Conjuring. I know a lot of people don't agree with me, but when I was watching that was about the closest I've ever seen as to what I have experienced in my time, which made the movie even more scary to me, just because I have lived through all that stuff and I've experienced a lot of the stuff they were showing in the movie. Maybe not the exact same stuff, but how a lot of the stuff progresses from little small things to great big problems. So that'd be what I have to say. I mean, you can find me on Facebook under Christian Dakota. Dakota is my dog, and so you can message me there. Like I said, I do have some friends of mine that they run the paranormal group of ours, and they've been doing it for a lot longer than what I've been around with them. They've even been on TV a couple times. That if you want, I can give your information to them and have them contact you or something. You might be able to get some better information out of them than what you did me. Especially with the theater. They've got a lot of good stories with the theater. Well, what I'll do is I'll contact them and see if they mind me passing their information along to you, and then I'll just pass it on to you, and then you can contact them and set it up however you want to do it. Okay. You too. Take it easy.
Thank you for watching the show, everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed that episode with Christian Dickerson. Back on. He was also on episode 8 and 9, so make sure you guys go check those out. And remember, guys, to share the show, because that's the only way that this podcast will grow. Make sure to give the show a 5-star rating and review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or anywhere you guys might be listening to the show. And if anyone out there listening that wants to share an experience and be a part of the show, please reach out to me, because I'd love to hear from you and have you on the show. Until next time, everyone, stay safe, stay blessed, and remember to innovate honesty and always illuminate the truth. Bye.